Five Nights at Freddy's is a game that needs no introduction. What was meant to be the developer's last game blossomed into an enormous franchise consisting of 11 teen games, not including spin-offs, multiple book series, a fucking movie, and more merch than you can imagine. But one thing I think that has kept the series going so long has been the fans. From OCs to fan art, whole communities have sprouted up centering around the series. One of the biggest being fan games. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and the FNAF series is not lacking in that regard. Take one look at the FNAF tag on GameJolt and you'll see page after page of games, all with one thing in common. They are like Five Nights at Freddy's. Now with a community as large as this, there's bound to be people who look at the games and go, what if I did it? Fan remakes have always interested me. I love seeing different takes on the same game. I love seeing what's added, what's removed, or hell, if it's even the same game. And so today I'll be looking at a bunch of fan remakes and reimaginings and ranking them based on, well, personal preference. So a couple of things first. This is not a comprehensive list of every single remake or reimagining, just some of the ones I found interesting. I'll only be covering remakes of the first 30 games, and the video will be split up accordingly. Anyways, let's get right to the... Now you can't talk about FNAF remakes and not talk about FNAF Plus. Part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative meant to officially release select fan games, FNAF Plus was the closest thing to an official FNAF remake, until it got cancelled. Now, I'm not going to delve into FizNom drama. If you really want to know about that, I'll have a video linked in the description. But separate from that, I'm really bummed that this game never got released. Also, this isn't the last time you're going to see FizNom in this video. This game, true to its name, is creepy. Gameplay-wise, it's pretty much just FNAF 1 with free roam, which it does decently well. But there doesn't seem to be too much different from the base game apart from that. I'll give it a B. Oh, also, I should probably mention this. For pretty much all of the games in this video, I did not play them fully. For each of the night-based ones, I played around 2 nights, but anything shorter than that, or not night-based, I did complete. Anyways, let's get on to the next game. The first thing I'll say about this game, I like the vibe of it. It's not really something I can put into words, but I just really like how it looks. But that comes with a pretty big trade-off. I don't know if it's just me, but I can't see shit on these cameras. It is so hard to tell when an animatronic is on the camera you're looking at. You pretty much have to play FNAF 1 like FNAF 3. That, coupled with no hallway lights, meant quite a few deaths for me, but the jump scares were pretty good. I really liked how close to you Freddy looks during the power outage. I'll give it a C. I like the idea and the vibe, but the gameplay just wasn't the greatest to me. I'm going to come out and say it. I really like this one. I think it strikes a really good balance of staying faithful to the original while also giving it a new coat of paint. I love how you can see the animatronics moving, and I love some of the touches added to some of the cams, like the lights by the bathrooms. I love the little events that can happen, like the merry-go-round turning on at random, the static on the office monitors, and I almost forgot the phone guy. I didn't mention that for the first 2 games because Creepy Nights just uses a standard FNAF 1 phone guy, and Rebuilt uses his text instead, kind of. But the phone guy here is pretty good. The script is pretty much just taken from FNAF 1, but I like how the voice actor delivers it. This game gets an A. This is probably the most unique game in this section. Most of the other ones, while still putting their spin on the gameplay, are still very rooted in FNAF 1. This one, however, well, just look at it. This is FNAF 1 in idea only, but let's talk about gameplay. As you can see, there's not really a traditional camera map. You have one by the door, but you have to scroll through the cameras, which meshes really well with the animatronics gameplay. So Bonnie will make his way through the building before arriving at your office. Once you see him in the window, you have to close the blinds until he goes away. Simple, right? Chica, on the other hand, will hang around the front. You have to flash her when she's at the door, or she will run out and around the building to the back and into your office. This can create some pretty tense moments, having to slowly scroll through the cameras to Chica after defending against Bonnie. One of my only problems is that none of this is really explained to you, so you kind of have to trial and error it. Overall, I really like this one, and can't wait for the full release. S tier. This game is probably my favorite from this section. From the gameplay to the looks to just the overall vibe. I think this delivers on all fronts. The gameplay is different for one, there's no phone guy. Instead you have this little thing who will give a quick rundown of most of the things you need to know, and also get in your way. But one of the main differences is the inclusion of these 4 rooms throughout the building. If an animatronic gets close to one of these rooms, you have to close the door to it or they will mess with one of your systems. How you close these rooms is right behind you. Most of the gameplay centers around this panel. You use it to close up the aforementioned doors, but you also use it for the hallway lights. One of my favorite parts of this game is the animatronics. The game does a good job of selling that they are much larger than you, and nothing sells that better than seeing them in the doorways. It gives me a kind of visceral feeling that I can't explain. Overall, this one is an amazing game, and it's an easy S tier. I've seen this one getting a decent amount of traction recently, and I can see why. I mean, a fan game being in real time is nothing new, most of the games here are, but one thing that sets this one apart is how faithful to the original game it is, at least in the visuals department. As for the gameplay, well, it's harder than FNAF 1. The game is not meant to be a replacement for the original, it's for people who have already played the original. And I think the game does a good job of messing with people's expectations. From small things like there not being a phone guy for the first night, to bigger things like Bonnie going down the right hall or some of the scripted parts. Another thing I really like about the game is the presentation. You can see from just the opening that there was a lot of effort put into the game, and it shows. If I had to knock it for anything, it'd probably be the story. It just didn't interest me at all. Also, a small nitpick, I'm not sure about the whole spinning torso thing they do with Chica. I don't know, it just looks a bit weird to me. Overall, it's still a really good game, and I'd recommend it for anyone wanting a new spin on FNAF 1, A tier. So that was the FNAF 1 section. Overall, a really good lineup of games. It was a great mix of familiar and new, and I can't wait to see what other ones come out. Anyways, on to FNAF 2. Well, here we are again. Now, honestly, going into this one, I was expecting to just be FNAF 2 but free roam, since that's what the first one was, but it ended up surprising me. First of all, it's not free roam. In terms of gameplay, it's pretty similar to FNAF 2, but with some changes. Instead of a flashlight, you have this flash beacon that has its own power. You can hide under the desk, though I didn't play enough to ever have to do that. Overall, I don't really have much to say about it. It's FNAF 2, but with some differences. That's about it. B tier. Now, let me go ahead and get this out of the way. This game is currently unavailable because it's going through a complete overhaul. What you'll see in this video is an older version. Pretty much everything I say about it is subject to change because of that. Got it? Good. Anyways, a lot of my thoughts on the first one carry over to this one. Gameplay-wise, it's pretty much like FNAF 2, but I do like a lot of the visuals. I think some of it just makes more sense. Like Mangle's area being more of a play place, and the room leading to the left vent being a kitchen instead of a party room. Another thing I really liked is how you can see the animatronics moving in the hallway in front of you. Oh, and the notebook. I forgot to mention it in the first game section. This is how you check the time in both games. A little mark will appear by the hour, and you can even hear it when you're doing other stuff. Overall, I really like this one, and I'm excited to see how it turns out in the future. A tier. I told you this wouldn't be the last time you see him. So I'll get the main thing out of the way. This game is only a custom night, which I don't mind since it gives an opportunity to talk about all the animatronics gameplay. The toys are pretty much the same as in base game, but the main differences seem to be in the Wizards and Mangle. And maybe the puppet? I don't actually know, I didn't play that much. The Wizards, with the exception of Foxy, who acts the same as in the base game, will appear on different cameras, and you just have to flash them with the light. Mangle appears to be more like Foxy in FNAF 1. Overall, I really like the gameplay of this one from the short time I played it, and I like the changes it made. A tier. So that was the FNAF 2 section. I know it was much shorter than the previous section, but honestly I was struggling to find recreations that weren't FNAF 1. But overall, I really like the selection of games here as well. Anyways, on to FNAF 3. This one's pretty interesting, because it has two different gameplay styles, the standard sit in the office FNAF 3 style, and a more unique free roam style. You choose between the two at the start of the night, and at each hour interval you can swap between the two. The office style is pretty much just FNAF 3, no real new additions, but the free roam style is where it gets a bit more interesting. It's the standard free roam FNAF game shtick, you just run around the building avoiding Springtrap. But the Phantoms put a nice spin on things. They pretty much all do the same thing, giving you a ventilation error that you need to go back to the office to deal with, but they all work differently. The puppet will chase you through the location, but can't go into vents. Mangle, on the other hand, will go seemingly exclusively through the vents, and Foxy will run through the halls. I know there are more, but I wasn't able to encounter them. Overall, while this game had some issues, it's still only a demo, and I did enjoy my time with it. B tier. Also, Springtrap bug during the office section. So while editing this, I found out that most of the footage of this game got corrupted, so pretty much all the footage in the background is going to be from Dark Taurus. This game is probably the most unique one in this video, next to Freddy's Reanimated. It reimagines Fazbear's Frights as an escape room. One of my favorite things about this game is the look. The way the animatronics in the rooms look is so unique and creepy, and it does a really good job at giving this atmosphere. And don't even get me started on this guy. Throughout the game, you can see him stalking you, eventually leading to a confrontation at the end. I especially love how it's never really explained what he was, whether he was someone just wearing the suit, or if it was something else. Overall, this game is a great reimagining of FNAF 3, and I'd highly recommend it for anyone interested. It's pretty short too, it can be finished in around 20 minutes, so S tier. Alright, I'm real excited for this one.
Oops, you have to put the CD up your ass.
I could not get this one to work. And it's not like I don't have FNAF 3. Look at it, it's right there. I tried installing it in each of my drives. Nothing. From what I've watched, the gameplay seems to pretty much just be FNAF 3. I like how the camera system is done, I love how you actually have to type commands in the maintenance panel. It seems to be a really well-made game, and I'm kind of sad I wasn't able to play it. Because of that, I'm not going to be ranking it. But if it looks interesting to you, though, I recommend you keep an eye on Banshee, the developer's next project, and a reimagining of Pizza Sim. Before we get to my final thoughts, here are some honorable mentions, games that have either not come out yet, or I wasn't able to play enough of. FNAF 6 Freak Show by Marco Antonio, FNAF 2 Reimagined by Kango Development, FNAF Blood and Gears by JD Bryant Dev, FNAF Remixed by Raiden W, FNAF Reimagined by Apollon Productions, I think I said that right, FNAF Retake by Vibing Leaf, and Welcome to Freddy's by Marco Antonio. So that was a short look into the big old world of Five Nights at Freddy's remakes and reimaginings. There were a lot of games to look through, and I think each and every one of them has its own merits and reasons to play. Because of the scope of something like this, there was no way I was going to get to every single remake of FNAF in Roblox, Scratch, fucking Lego, but I hope this was a good look at some of the ones I think are really interesting. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.